Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rudy Cashman, neurosurgeon, Fort Wayne, Indiana, for 41 years. But I'm only 39 years old. No, you can call me Dr. Wellness. You can call me Dr. Second Opinion. Tonight's show is second in the series of The Addicted Brain, And we discussed the chemistry and the neurobiology of it in detail in the last show, but we'll review again a little bit of it tonight. And I have with me a guest tonight, my daughter Kim Cashman-Geltz, who is co-author of a number of books that I've written, and she edits my books. And Kim, welcome to the show. We're going to have a little fun here tonight. And we'll be speaking about holistic treatments, how to treat addictions of all types. It can be gambling, it could be the internet, it can be, of course, mainly drugs. And in some of these, you know, for drugs, for example, there are medications that are helpful for alcohol and for cigarettes and for opioids. There are medications one can take, but then you have to get off the medication. For a lot of the opioid medications, for example, use methadone, but you may not have the overwhelming high, but you're still taking a narcotic. So I'd like to mention tonight the holistic methods, which have been quite effective and I think should be used more. A pain center, for example, if you look at their website, you're going to look for a good pain center. You should see, do they have holistic methods on their website? If they don't, what are they going to do when you go there? Going to stick a needle in your back or in your neck and hand you a narcotic. You want more than that. You want other choices here. To begin with, Kim, and you helped write my book, Welcome to Your Mind Body, a book you can go to Amazon Books, that tells you what the brain does to the body. Yes, brain and body are indeed connected. The way medicine is treated a lot today is like the head is not attached to the body. Rene Descartes, 1635, he literally took the head off the body and handed the head to the church and the body to science, and we have not reconnected it. But indeed, it is now reconnected, and we will explain this to you. I wrote a book called Welcome to Your Mind Body. It's based a lot on the work of Candace Pert, Molecules of Emotion, a famous book that she wrote. How does the brain speak to the body? How does the body speak to the brain? It's through neuropeptides, neurotransmitters, and hormones. Yes, they indeed secreted by the brain can go to your body through nerves, autonomic nerves, somatic nerves, and through the neurotransmitters and the hormones through the blood system. You think, you're tensed up, and your heart reacts. When I was in med school, for example, and trying to make my way through this world, I've had tests the next day. I really mean it. Sometimes I thought my heart beat 3 times a minute. Now, why was that? It was because of the neurotransmitters and the neuropeptides produced through my stress reaction, through the blood and through the nerves, through the sympathetic, parasympathetic nerves, and was slowing my heart down. And the same My bowel reacted. You think your bowel reacts. Gershon even wrote a book called The Gut, the Second Brain. The second brain, because of the nerves, the autonomic nervous systems, and through the neuropeptides affecting your gut. So your thought process has a very important effect on your health. But also your white cells in your body make all the neuropeptides, about 350 of them, that the brain makes. They make them also. So your body, in turn, can speak to your brain. This was very nicely discussed in Candace Pert's book. And we have to consider that when we're thinking about addiction. Addiction is a lot about the I, me, mine. We are centered on ourselves. Scarcity, anxiety, hopelessness, depression. These thoughts that we have, and we in our body do not have enough dopamine, serotonin, and through depression, and we're trying to bring this up so we just feel better. What's the most common thing that we do to treat that? Food. That's the most addictive thing there is. So we see a sign of a stressed out person, Kim, is a pot belly. Yeah, it's a pot belly. Because of the steroids, we think there's a tiger running at us, but there's no tiger. We're sitting by the TV, eating potato chips and watching the ball game, and we're stressed out, and we keep on eating, and after a while, our receptors die out from eating fat, salt, and sugar, and we have to eat more of our addictive drug. In other words, we become tolerant. Of it. So we eat more food, we get more obese. It's the same with a opioid addict. They'll develop tolerance, which means they need more of the drug to get the dopamine up to feel good. That's what addiction's all about, the dopamine circuitry. And when we want to review that again here, I think a little bit from last show, why can't addicts just quit? Because addiction changes the circuitry of the brain. The dopamine circuitry, the frontal lobe, the hypothalamus, the limbic system, the tegmentum. That's where the neurotransmitters, the nucleus accumbens, these are all circuits that are affected by the addictive process. In other words, gambling, sex, opioids, food, they generally run similar circuitry. And our evolutionary body is used to certain circuits. For example, hunger. They want us to live. So we have circuitry that's been tested through evolution. Sexuality, for example, having children. Evolution wants us to reproduce. So there's circuitry been established. But the external things we're taking now, the foods our body isn't used to, the drugs we've taken, there's no evolutionary circuitry present to stop this process or repair this process. And that's why the addictive process is so difficult to get rid of. And here's a good example of the dopamine pathways, which we talked about. Dopamine makes you feel good. It's a small amino acid, makes you feel good. And you see the circuitry up here affecting the frontal lobe, the nucleus accumbens, which is full of neuropeptides and dopamine and serotonin. And then dopamine makes us feel great, pleasure, euphoria. And then we talk about the serotonin circuitry. You see that here in red, affecting the cingulate gyrus, and also affects the hippocampus, the raphe nucleus. I just want you to get some idea how the circuitry is affected by food and gambling and opioids. And here's some more detail, like nicotine in the brain. For example, smoking, what does that light up? It lights up the acetylcholine circuitry in the nucleus accumbens there, which is full of dopamine and opioids and acetylcholine centers. And here in the brainstem, right there, the tegmentum lights up from smoking. So that's the reason smoking makes us feel better, because it affects the acetylcholine sites, which are actually not just in the brain, throughout the body. They're throughout the body. and it becomes quite addictive very quickly. Nicotine is very addictive. Here's how alcohol attacks the brain. First, the frontal lobe affects the forebrain, assaults the motor coordination. Then alcohol knocks out the midbrain, and you lose control of our emotions. Trouble temper problems, for example. And then finally, alcohol batters the brainstem, affects the heart rate, the body temperature. You have seizures, and many times can really lead to death. And here's, for example, of the dopamine from food and sex. Very rapid in sexual activity and food. It's a little slower, but it lasts a lot longer. So both can be very addictive. And so the ABCs of addiction, and neurotransmitters are in carrying cases. And this is an example of a carrying case right there inside of an axon. And it goes into the synaptic cleft here and does its work. If you were to take cocaine, for example, cocaine prevents the destruction of dopamine. So dopamine stays there a long time in the synaptic cleft, and you have a tremendous high. And we have no way for the nerve to re-uptake it or destroy it. And that's the reason people do take cocaine. And that's, I think, enough of this addictive chemistry that we want to speak. We at the last show had a great deal of it. So let's go on a bit. The thing I'd like to mention to begin with, and including for treatment, is prevention. Prevention is critical. That's the reason we're doing these shows. Because if you're addicted, especially say to opioids, for example, the odds of getting over it is extremely slim, 10% or less. 10% or less. I spoke in Huntington County to a counselor recently, been doing it 22 years. He said he never cured anybody. I think there is some cure rate, but you must attack it quickly. And there are chemical ways, and there are holistic ways, and there are a combination. Prevention is the key. So you must understand addiction. Let me remind you too that if a child starts smoking and uses alcohol, say at age 10, Kim, you know what the odds are of that person being an addict at age 30? Don't you ever forget it. 80%. 80%. If you get a child that's smoking and drinking, and maybe the parents are doing the same, the odds of your child being an addict is 80%. And let me also remind you what addiction is. When a person is addicted, let me remind you that nothing, mother, father, society, brothers and sisters, religion and God, to that addicted person mean nothing. Nothing. I hope you heard that. That's why prevention is so critical. So critical. These people that are addicted, their dopamine level is so low. They feel so bad that all they're concerned about is not the family, the next fix. They're so in the dumps that sometimes I even say I can't help it. They can help that decision, begin to take it. If once they're truly addicted, I think that addicted person, to me, is a disease. He's helpless. He's helpless. He is helpless. Don't forget that. So what about treatment? Now we're going to move on to holistic treatments. Remember, I said medication is important. If the person is truly addicted, they need to spend that first month in detox. No drugs. You need to be in a facility, frankly. Unless they want to lock you up in a mountain lodge, I'll tell you. Just to get the chemicals out of the system, it takes about a month. Some faster, some others. But then you need to treat the condition. It's not over. It's a lifetime condition, I think, for most addictions. Yeah, we know in alcoholism, we say you're always an alcoholic, and I think in opioid addiction, I think you're always an addict. I don't think you're ever really free of that. I mean, it's like folders of information in your frontal lobe that, as you trying to unaddict yourself and have treatment, these folders get pushed further back in the brain. But I tell you, they're still in your brain. And the first time you take that substance again, those folders, that information, your memory of it, for example, your cues of it, comes forward again and becomes active again. But so now detox is over, okay? Now, what do? Your lifetime is ahead of you. Your lifetime is ahead of you. You're going to have to change your habit system. And I would say, frankly, what you need is an epiphany. You're making your mind, you're going to do it. And so it is with a 12-step program that used in alcoholism and that, but it can be used for any type of addiction. You frankly have to admit that you've reached bottom and you're looking up. In the alcohol 12-step program, they use looking up to God the way you see Him, the way you see Him, and totally respecting people's religion, but you don't necessarily look up whatever you believe in, and start the turnaround. And before we go on to, I will re-mention again, avoid taking opioid prescriptions, narcotic prescriptions, unless you have a real good reason, especially if you're a young person, you're a young mother, because you were to get pregnant, your infant will become pregnant. 10% of the infants born in West Virginia are drug addicts. They have to treat them with methadone or morphine to get them over it. That's what they use in our community. We see that in Fort Wayne. I've even reviewed the cases. It occurs in Fort Wayne, not too infrequently. And so avoid that script unless you got cancer or broken bone or some serious problem, or use it short term. Use it for a month and that's it. But if you're taking serious stuff like OxyContin and stuff, I mean, you can be an addict in a week. In a week. It doesn't take very long. So let's go through the top list of things, that person can do to get that dopamine up. Remember why we take drugs and have gambling habits or alcohol or cigarettes? Why is that? Dopamine level is too low. It's too low. So we have other ways of getting them. I mean, a great one is, which I know you use, Kim, and I use a lot, is exercise. Kim does yoga regularly and exercises regularly, and I play tennis a lot. I lift weights. I do some yoga activity, and you do yoga a couple of times a week, don't you, Kim? And it's how she keeps her addiction for a little bit of food, right? Who isn't addicted to food? I am. We all are, and under control, and things like Tai Chi and Qigong. You hear those terms. Qigong is, you've seen these postures and things. You see the Asians use it a great deal, and it's mind control. Tai Chi, Qigong is meditation. It's where you think of nothing. You think of nothing except the present moment. You don't think of the past. You don't think of the future. And you have control of your mind. Your essence become mindless, but you're not asleep. Your eyes are open. This is not sleep, but this is a calm mind, meditative techniques. Qigong is more sedentary. You can do it sitting, while Tai Chi, you stand or you move. Pilates, you move a lot more, accompanies exercise. So these activities are mind and body and muscle activities that cause secretions of your neurotransmitters and neuropeptides, and then of your endorphins. That's your own morphine. Endorphins are your own morphine, and make you feel good, reduce your appetite, for example, and raise your dopamine, serotonin level, endorphin level, and you feel good. You don't need to smoke, or you don't need to drink, and you don't need to eat when you're doing these activities. And it can be walking. I recommend 30 minutes of walking all the time. Talk to the birds. Talk to the animals. I do all the time. I'll come home tonight, there'll probably be 4 deer grazing on my lawn, and I'll put the window down, I'll talk to them, Kim. I do. That's just me. And there's something, raises my endorphins. They look at me, they stare at me, they're used to me, and so it is with my cats and dogs, and makes me feel good. So you got to figure out things in your life that raise your dopamine. So you don't need food all the time. Remember, the sign of a stressed out person is a pot belly. because of the steroids of stress. We all have stress. Like I get stress, you get stress, we all get stress. You just got to figure out ways, to control it and to develop some of these. And I also recommend it, maybe have a place in your home where you can spend 15 minutes in the morning, for example, and to do some meditation, some deep breathing to quiet your mind a little bit. And just to quiet your mind, don't think of the past, don't think of your future, your blood pressure will drop. I know I do it. And do some deep breathing, pay attention to your breath, breathing in and out. Really paying attention to your breath is a mantra. A mantra is a word. It can be your breath to quiet your mind. Repeat the same word. I like the word joy. I say joy, joy, and I'm visualizing. Visualization is how you speak to your subconscious mind, to that stressed out mind up there. Is through visualization. Like I may visualize walking down the beach, for example, and then I see that in my mind's eye, and I repeat the word joy, 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 and do some deep breathing, maybe 10, 20 breaths. My blood pressure drops. I know where to check it. And it's because of the neuropeptides and the hormones that are reacting. My mind is speaking to my body. And my body is speaking to my mind. And now I'm more relaxed. And if you have a pain problem or a stress problem or anxiety problem, addictive problem, you're quieting your mind. So especially anybody who's addicted, for example, I take maybe 15 minutes twice a day at least that you sit down and do some meditation and deep breathing and visualization. We'll speak more about visualization in a little bit. I think it's also important that we eat properly. So I suggest, I've written 5 books on proper eating, from motivation and psychology of eating, Secret of the Land Diet, Reversing Type 2 Diabetes. I have a very good book on that. To eat a nutrient-dense diet. My food pyramid is at Trine University. It's going to be at St. Francis. It's going to be at Lutheran Hospital, at the Boys Club downtown, at Indiana Tech. And I'm trying to get people to eat right, because 1 out of 3 people I look at in my office are type 2 diabetics, way overweight. Maybe they don't see it, but they're eating the wrong food. And a lot of it is, Kim, is stress. Mm-hmm. We're a very stressful society. And especially the economic classes that are even more stressful than the rest of us. That I think anybody can be more stressful than my life. They eat the wrong food, fat, salt, and sugar. It makes them feel good because it raises their dopamine level. It's their drug. We all use food as a drug. I'm sure you do, Kim. We all do. We all got our days, with that. The nutrient-dense diet, the phytochemicals that are in nutrient-dense foods of color. You can add mushrooms and onions on top of that, but I don't recommend animal products very much because they don't have nutrients in them. They get fat, salt, and sugar, and cancer factors, and I don't recommend animal products. Besides, if you really think about what they do to animals to put on your plate, if you really knew that, I've read and seen that literature, Kim, you wouldn't eat it. You wouldn't eat it. To me, I can barely eat an egg white anymore. Egg white's pretty healthy, but I know what they do to chickens, and I can barely, frankly, do that. And I don't do that anymore, to be honest with you. And also, I think if you have an addiction problem, some people need some psychological treatment. See, it's group therapy, especially if you have an alcohol problem, an opioid addiction problem, to join a group, you detox, and then you have a lifetime ahead of you. So to join a group of people, I think is a good thing. I mean, I know of a prominent person in town. He's got a good job, a lawyer, and he belongs to a group. And they meet, they meet once a month, once every 2 months, and they speak about each other's problems, one thing or another. I think it's a very important thing. I think group therapy is important. I think to speak to a psychiatrist is important. I mean, I know we know if a friend of ours, Kim, for example, that something wasn't right, obviously, and finally a psychiatrist spoke to that person 30 minutes. So not 5 minutes and here's a script, okay? 30 minutes a psychiatrist talked to this person after having seen many psychiatrists, figured out it was severe depression and gave some medications. Guess what? Person acting normal. So you need a healthcare provider that'll talk to you, that knows you, It can't just be 2 minutes and here's a prescription, which we see a lot today. Your provider must know you, I think. So group therapy, individual psychological therapy is important. And most of these addictions are due to I, me, and mine, and scarcity. It's lack of. It's lack of. That's why most people become honestly addicted. Something to remember. And the more we read about meditation, and you read about Zen. What is Zen? I mean, Zen it goes to the Buddhist tradition. Buddha lived before Christ, actually, and about 60 BC or so. And when you read the works, I don't look at it as a religion. It's a way of thinking. Zen really means no mind, an empty mind. It's a meditation where you just think of the present moment. What's going on right now? No past, no future. A quiet mind. You're not asleep. You're not asleep, but you just enjoy the day, the sunshine, and you don't think about your problems. That's really Zen. You empty your mind, really, and they talk about this leads to enlightenment. And so that brings up the subject of mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It's really what we're speaking about here, a very quiet mind. Not really look at, if you're doing the dishes, for example, who of us can really look at the dishes? Do you ever really look at the dishes? That's mindfulness. Mm. If you're eating and you really look at the beauty of the food, and you look at the seeds, that's mindfulness. You're walking through the yard, and I remember a couple of years ago, those trees been there for 20 years, I've been living there, but did I ever really look at the trees? Go through your yard sometime and really look at the leaves. Mm-hmm. Look at the nuts. I took my cousin August from New Jersey. He was visiting, and I said, August, you want to have a great day? And we were over Lake Wawasee, and I said, yeah. He says, I said, I want to show you the campus of Notre Dame. I didn't go to school there, but I had a book signing there one time that treated me so well, and he knew a lot about trees. And August and I walked the whole Notre Dame campus looking at every tree, every nut tree we looked at. Of course, we said hello to every pretty girl we saw too, but it was a wonderful day. And we went to the chapel and to the grotto and back, and it was a mindful day. Mm-hmm. That's mindfulness. It made us feel so good. So really look at things. Really look at your kids. Look at their eyes. Really look at them. Look at your cat. I look at my cat's eyes a lot, and we speak to each other. I know I got him to the point of I blink one eye, you blink one eye. And this morning I got him to close both eyes when I was closing both my eyes. So since the cat can't speak, we use our eyes to talk now. I wonder what this will lead to eventually. But it's a very mindful moment, relaxing and loving, to both of us. I'm sure my dopamine, serotonin, when I do that, goes up. You can just, you can count on that. So, and mindfulness is used a lot in pain conditions. If you really look at the pain that you may be having, chronic, I'm talking about long-term pain, not you get a broken leg, but I'm talking about long-term pain you have for a long time. Try to become mindful about it. Just in Kobat-Zen in Boston, he teaches that a lot. Really, just look at the pain. Don't decorate it with the past. Don't decorate it with the future. Just look at it. You find out, it ain't so bad. I had my teeth cleaned the other day, and I became mindful, and I was reviewing in my mind the next book we're writing. We're writing a book, Narcotic Prescriptions, The Road to Hell, which can be and is a lot around here. So I reviewed the chapters, and sort of 45 minutes, my mind woke up. I was fully awake. I said, when are you going to start cleaning my teeth? I never felt nothing, not a thing. That's mindfulness, okay? So I think it's a very important concept. And so let's talk about medication a little more. So meditation helps us retreat from all the wheels going on around us, okay? It's like a child running across a train. The child has to stop. the train is thundering through this. Nothing. It's too powerful. There's nothing you can do. But the wheels of life going around us help relieve us from self-infecting our thought process. Okay, and our thought processes are driven by the load of the fuels, the fossil fuels of our past. That train going by is full of our emotions and history of our emotions of the past. And meditation tries to eliminate that. We're not going to pay any attention to the fossil fuels of our trains going wheeling through our brain. We're going to quiet things down. And so mindfulness practice is non-judgmental awareness in day-to-day life. Non-judgmental activity in everyday life. That's mindfulness. Just what's going on here? What's on these dishes? Ever look at the spoon and fork you're eating from? Do you really look at the food that you're eating? That's mindfulness. It'll slow you down, and it'll slow your thought process down, maybe slow your hunger down. I think it's a very important concept. Other things that can be used for addiction to reduce the addictive process is and we spoke about there are many different meditation techniques, incidentally, like trance TM. Herb Benson writes about that, where you do some deep breathing, you say a mantra. That's the Herb Benson reflex, which you talk a lot about. And I remember Kim and you and I visited Herb Benson one time at Harvard. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And he's published a great deal. And so there are many different forms of meditation, but I think good idea to develop some technique where maybe you do a little bit of that every morning, or if you have a problem, meditate a couple of times a day. It quiets your mind, accompanied with some mindfulness, some visualization where you see something pleasant. Your brain is much more likely to do if you visualize it. You want to lose 50 pounds, look in the mirror and visualize yourself having lost 50 pounds. It's much more likely to happen. You know, you say 6 months from now, I'm going to have this normal bathing suit on, and visualization. You see the famous golfers, what do? They visualize their shot. When they step up, they don't think how to hit the darn thing. They visualize the golf ball landing on the green. Jack Nicklaus talks about that in his books, and other famous golfers. They all visualize. When I hit a serve in tennis and I play a lot of tennis, I visualize a shot. When I operate, I'm washing my hands, going to do a brain tumor. I visualize the whole operation while I'm scrubbing my hands. It's like a movie going in front of me. Things go better when you do that. Then I go in the operating room, even turn on some nice music, and the operation is fun. And it goes a lot better. And the whole room, at the end of the day, matter of fact, I've heard many times the nurses turn to me and say, Dr. Cashman, we didn't even know we were at work. So visualization techniques are very good, and music, very good, and relaxing. So acupuncture, you hear a lot about that, and you say, Dr. Cashman, you believe in acupuncture? I absolutely do. I absolutely do. And how does it work? You say, how does it work? I mean, this is based on Asian medicine, goes back 5,000 years. Yeah, 5,000 years. And they have determined, they believe, it's never been proven, they believe that they have meridians, lines in your body, and most of the time they talk about 70, but it can be many more, that are connected to chakras. Number one chakra is above our head, star chakra, and then one on the forehead, one in the throat, and one on the chest, one on the belly, one in the private areas, and we go down the line, 6 or 7 chakras, and these meridians connect to them. These are energy centers. And acupuncture done very small needles. You don't even essentially feel them. And generally what's good about the practitioners who do it, they'll spend an hour with you, speaking to you. What practitioner today spends an hour with you? You know, it's 5 minutes. Here's a prescription. See you later. These people that do acupuncture, they talk to you. They want to know your past history. They want to know your present history. And Asian medicine has a lot to do with the energy and the Qi, the moving energy, and the spirit, the essence, the spirit, and the energy. And what you're doing with acupuncture is moving the Qi, the energy around the body. That's what, and they'll concentrate in certain areas. They'll do it in the fingers and the feet, or in the arms, and sometimes in the back, and about any part of the body. And they're moving energy, Qi, around. And it's very effective. And people have done operations with it, for example. And it's very good for chronic, long-term pain, not short-term. You get a broken leg, for Pete's sake, have them give you some morphine or something. But I'm talking about long-term pain problems. I think it's very effective, and it is a good, what we call complementary medicine treatment. I think it's excellent. It should be used more. It should be used much more. And another thing, sometimes something called acupressure, where you press certain points. You know, Reiki is like that. Reiki is laying under the hands, you know, and it properly done by a practitioner can relieve a tremendous amount of a pain problem. So what is acupuncture? How does it work, really? Well, the needles may secrete some endorphins in your body, which makes you feel good. You know, it's like tattooing. You see so many tattoos around today, and I do wonder, people who have all over the body, what they think's going to look like, you know, when they're 40 and 50 and 60. You know, you kind of wonder, but it's so popular, maybe I'm just ancient here or whatever. I see so much of it. Certainly some of it is, you know, very beautiful. But some of it is due that the own endorphins get secreted, and that's the reason that a lot of people, you know, have them done, obviously among other reasons. The other thing in acupuncture, I think some of it is a placebo effect. As long as that person believes, because the endorphins, neurotransmitters, are secreted by belief, by your belief system. You believe, that's a placebo effect. 70% chance it'll work, no matter what you do. I can hand you a phony pill. As long as you believe it'll work, 70% chance it'll work. So I think one ought to take advantage of that, because it could be cheaper, could be less dangerous, and that's a placebo effect. What's the opposite to the placebo? I know you've, through my books, Kim, have learned a little bit the term nocebo. Hardly anybody knows that term. You want to give it a shot at describing what nocebo means? Nocebo?
It's something negative that is said to you that has the opposite effect of placebo. So it's going to make you feel bad, and it's going to lower your serotonin and your dopamine.
I think that's very nice explanation. It's you're exactly right, the opposite to the placebo. And I see pain centers and surgeons sometimes use it intentionally, unintentionally, to convince you. Here's an MRI scan, shows the process of aging, and you come to see him with a neck pain or low back pain, say you're at the pain center. They say, well, see, this is causing you a problem. Well, maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. And they want to inject you, or maybe want to operate on you. And that's the nocebo, the negative speak. And I've seen it, and again, it's related to belief. You can take a patient, you know, has cancer, and if the doctor says, you know, you've got 6 months to live. How long got to live, doctor? You got 6 months to live. And the patient believes that, believe me, odds are they'll be dead in 6 months. If you instead say, you know, this doesn't look too good, but 10% of the people do better, which I can do certain things, teach you a proper diet, teach you visualization techniques, exercise techniques, and 10% of the people do frankly quite good. Dr. LeShan published a book that he can double the lifespan of most people and increase the spontaneous cure rate. That's in books. It's all in books. He studied over 500 people, and negative talk can be destructive. And unfortunately, I see a lot of that. I mean, I had a cancer patient recently, had metastasis to the thoracic spine, a beautiful 40-year-old girl, not moving their legs too good. And one could have said, well, there's stuff in your lungs, there's stuff in your back, it's a hopeless case, you're going to be dead in 6 months. And then she wanted everything she could. And she was moving the legs a little bit. As long as they're moving a little bit, doing the spinal operation does have a chance of getting better. So I saw the next day, her legs were moving better. She had a big smile on her face. And I asked her to visualize, to draw a picture of her walking in a couple of weeks. And she was moving her legs better the next day. And the next day she was moving her legs better the next day. And I was holding her hand, and I says, "Doctor, you know I like to dance." And I said, "Well, we hope we get you there, but while you were here, how about holding my hand and we'll dance in place?" And we did. And I held her hand, a big smile on her face, and we just pretended we were visualizing. We were both dancing. Made me feel better. She's smiling. Then within hours, I get a phone call. Go back and see her. And I saw a horribly depressed individual, horribly depressed. And what had happened, the cancer doctor had walked in and told her she had barely a few months to live, and he had called in the hospice person already, and they were already standing outside writing on the chart. Took a case with some hope. Even if I was wrong, at least she could have had happy few months, you know what I mean? Not living in the dream world. There's realism there, but they totally destroyed her mind. It took me a week to sort of turn this around. Sad situation. So the human mind has a great deal, you know, with our healing. How we think is everything. It isn't just what we eat. It's how we think is before what we eat. How we think is just everything. Because, as I mentioned, the hormones, the neuropeptides, and neuropeptides, and the neurotransmitters that speak to our body, and our body speaks to us, determines how we do. How we do. Very, very critical. And I hope that girl is doing well today. And so I do believe in acupuncture. I don't know if it's the endorphins or with the patient's belief, but it sure is helpful. And it's not an invasion of the body. We're not operating on them. We're not handing them narcotics. So, you know, it should be used more. The next one I'd like to talk about a little bit is massage. That should be used a lot more. I think we should have somebody at the hospital that just goes around the hospital. Anybody wants a massage, you hit a button, have them come over and give you a massage. I would love it. I would love it. I don't get sick very often because I eat the right thing and I exercise, mind and body, as you can see. But I'll be darned. The other day, I had a kidney stone. Oh yeah, I learned what a 10 is. You know, 0 to 10 pain scale. Mm-hmm. I know what a 10 is now. I was like, man, was that ever a killer. But I did notice when I didn't have any medication aboard yet before I hit the emergency room. I was massaging my back myself, self-massage, like Reiki almost. But Reiki, you don't move much. You just lay your hands on it. But I was deeply rubbing this side. And I tell you, as long as I was massaging, I have very little pain. The massage impulse beats the pain impulse to the brain. That's why it works. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was deep massaging, and boy, it really eliminated 70% of the pain, I'd say. And when I wasn't doing it, boy, man, oh man, there was a little education there. And fortunately, it went away in 2 hours. But so I like to see more massages. I recommend highly for people who are stressed in their lives, whose dopamine level needs to get up. Who doesn't? I mean, who the heck doesn't? Get a body massage, and it's done a lot more in Europe. If you were to go to Korea, you'd see every block, you see 3 massage places. Yeah, very therapeutic. It should be done more. And if we had a lot of competition, I think the price would come down now, what it costs, $40 to $60. Some places more. But I think we'd be talking about $20, $30 if we get a lot of places out there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And people are indeed good at doing it. And foot massage especially, very effective. I think we should use it a lot more. And you can use some oils and things like that to make you feel better. Kim, tell us a little bit about biofeedback. That's something used today as holistic healing, and I know you read about it a little bit. And give us
well, it's another way to connect your mind with your body, to become mindful of your autonomic nervous system, which is essentially your breathing, your heart rate, and your perception of pain. What happens with biofeedback is they connect you with little sensors that measure your heart rate. So that's the feedback, the heart rate and also your perception of pain through your skin. and also your brain waves. So it teaches you, in essence, to become more mindful of those bodily functions. So then when you're in a stressful situation or you're dealing with chronic pain, you have another way to manage it. You have a way to calm yourself, slow down your heart rate. And studies have shown that after a patient uses the biofeedback over a period of time, they're able to, by themselves, slow down their heart rate, increase the delta waves in their brain, and slow down their breathing. So it's a fabulous technique that helps improve physical performance if you're an athlete, and also if you're dealing with a chronic health condition.
They hook you to a computer, right? You hook to a computer and you're looking at a monitor. And you, through breathing techniques, maybe even meditative techniques, visualization techniques, you can see on the monitor your blood pressure dropping, your temperature changing, your respiratory rate changing. You can see it on the computer. You're hooked with lines to the computer. But the point you brought up, which I think is great, after you get trained this way with a technician, with a trained technician, you can do these things at home then. You can sit in a chair and visualize being hooked to the computer, and you can watch your delta waves, the slow waves of your brain that indicate relaxation. You can see that through EEG, right on, that the delta waves are going there, and your blood pressure is dropping, your skin temperature is changing, and really you training yourself to meditate and visualize and affect the physiology of your body. So I think it's a great technique. I don't think it's used enough. Insurance companies don't want to pay for it, but let's think about it. It beats the daylights out of handing you a narcotic. I'm a little upset with these insurance companies. They're too readily, they'll pay for a narcotic medication any old time. They'll even pay for the taxi cab to pick you up at home, take you to the pain center. They'll pay for the doctor, they'll pay for the procedure, and then pay for the taxi cab to take you home. And about 20% of the people who pick up their narcotic that way sell it on the street. We know that to be a fact. And the insurance companies should not pay for these narcotics except acutely in the hospital, for cancer, neuropathic pain. That's it. The other 50%, anxiety, stress, scarcity, hopelessness, depression, should not be given narcotics. We have other medications for that, other holistic treatments for that, and I feel quite strong about that. And that's so even the government, through Medicaid and Medicare, pays for a lot of these things. They ought not to pay for it. They save a lot of money. Besides, they're addicting the people, and some are dying. The biggest complication of addiction, frankly, is not death. You know what it is? Loss of functionality. Can't function. I have no pain. Of course, if you were full of dopamine from a narcotic, why would you have any pain? I feel great. The darn trouble is 4 hours later, you got to take the drug again, and you got to pay for it. You got to get it, and we don't even know why you hurt. You got to know why that person hurts. 50% of the people, no one knows. I hurt. I'm a 10. I want my medication. Well, wait a minute. Wait. We know why you hurt. If it's hopelessness, anxiety, and things of this nature, should not be given a narcotic. It goes on all over the nation. I've seen it now in children. I've seen it now in children. In children, it's particularly serious because children, the frontal lobe is not developed till about age 25, so they become much more readily addicted. It's easy to addict a kid. They're taking alcohol and they're smoking cigarettes and try a few opioids. A lot of times from prescription. A lot of times they'll steal it from their parent or grandparent and take it, become addicts like that. Can you imagine addicting a child with a provider's prescription? How sad. It's enough to make you cry. It's enough to make you cry. Let's talk about music a little bit now. There's some healing for you. Music, music and healing, I think, is a big thing. And because it secretes your endorphins. if I have a stressed out day, for example, Kim, I'll go in my car and I get Body and Bennett downloaded on my radio there and CD player. I can change my mood 10 seconds. 10 seconds I can change my mood. I mean, and I'm raising my hand, conducting the orchestra. Somebody's driving behind me that knows my phone number, called, "What are you doing, Doc?" Well, I'm conducting the orchestra. I feel a great better. So use music. Bring music into your life. Bring music into your life. Bring dancing into your life. Bring dancing into your life. I was in Dancing with the Stars last year here, and I will admit, all those rehearsals, and late at night when already was busy enough going through all that, and then the event itself, which was one of the finest events I've ever been to. We raised money for Carriage House, and it's going to come up soon. Please go to that. Great thing. I'm going to be there again, and but not one of the 10 dancers, but I'll be dancing. You can count on that, and it's a wonderful thing. And people know I like to dance. So if I go to an event, there are going to be people coming up and asking me to dance, and I tell you, it's not guys. and I have a ball with it, and it makes me feel good. If I'm in an elevator by myself at Leuven Hospital late at night, you know what I do? Practice my dance steps. It's just habit. I'm not even in the event this year. I'm still doing it. So take up dancing. You want to feel better, take up dancing. Bring music into life. And your music, not my music, your music that you like. And I may have a friend of mine constantly throwing Bruce Springsteen at me. That's not my music. I like different music. But that's what he loves, and it's a wonderful music. But I'm saying we all have our own music. Determine what is your music to increase your dopamine. Put it in the house. I play it in the morning. My wife's down making the kitchen down, making breakfast down there, and I'm upstairs for a good 10 minutes dancing with the cats and the dogs. Because from Dancing with the Stars, it makes me feel so good, improves my balance. You know what I mean? I'm dancing on the stairs, going to the kitchen, and life starts with music. Although I'm facing a very stressful day, but I'm mindful right then. I'm mindful. I'm not thinking of nothing. I'm thinking of music and looking my pets in the eye and they're on my shoulder and jumping up and stuff and just having a great time. So that's how you can become mindful and I recommend highly music and dancing. I know you like to do it, Kim. I remember the days in Acapulco and you were little kids and we danced. I mean, it was really a very nice thing. I actually wrote a poem. I'm going to read it to you. About dancing, about joy, okay? I was at a wedding recently, and I saw 2 little children, and I was writing a book on addiction at the time, so I was particularly attuned to how people feel and joy. We were sitting at dinner at the homestead in Virginia, and the band starts playing, 4 guys. 2 young kids, 4, 6, 7 years old, bust onto the dance floor, separated from themselves, started dancing. This is what I'm looking at. And that caused me to write this poem. Never wrote a poem before. See if you like it, Kim. See if you like it. Joy is the answer. It's the name of the poem, okay? The joy of children. True innocence without fear. Dancing alone to the music. Visualize it. Dancing alone to the music. Happiness at its best. Laughing all the while. Joy is the answer. The anxiety, fears, and stress of adolescence. The music stops for some. Cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs appear to raise the mood temporarily. Looking for the right thing in the wrong places. Tolerance, dependence, and addiction appear. Joy is the answer. The road to hell after a spell. Nothing means anything. Mother, father, friend, God, and society. Peers appear and don't cover the rear and make things worse. Joy is the answer. Hopelessness, depression, no ecstasy. Paradise is lost. Joy is the answer. A hug and a kiss produces the bliss. Laughter and warmth awakens the doctor within us. Love can raise the dopamine in us. Don't accept that opioid script for you and your kid. Love, joy, and mindfulness is the answer. That tells you the story, I think, of children, teenagers in addiction, which unfortunately we see around us, and the poor parents that have to deal with that. Visualization is another method. We spoke about it already, which is a great to visualize what you like to do, what you like to achieve. You're going to get off your addiction, visualize it. And it's the language of the unconscious mind. I think that's a very good thing to remember. And as Dr. LaShand wrote in his famous book, if you are having a problem with addiction, develop a purpose in your life. It'll help the neurotransmitters and your dopamine to come. I feel so lucky, Kim. I feel so lucky. I have a purpose, making people well. I teach weight reduction. I teach stress reduction. I teach the mind-body connection. I do neurosurgery. I'm getting people well. Not everybody gets well, but a lot are getting well. People walk up to me all day, tell me, Doc, I lost 20 pounds. I lost my diabetes. I have a purpose. I hope everyone has a purpose. I hope you have a purpose. And if any of you out there that have an illness, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Just get good at it and get a purpose in your life. So tonight we have summarized really a lot of holistic methods of getting over an addiction. I don't care whether it's food or sex or the internet or whatever. Try some of these methods to get over it. And some don't cost a lot. I mean, walking, talking to the birds and the animals, and dancing. I mean, these things are free. Most exercise you can do at home. And watch your teenagers and watch yourself. Don't just accept that narcotic prescription from a provider for a silly old problem that could involve something else. You may think you're dying from it, but you may end up with a second disease called chronic pain from taking these opioid prescriptions all day. It's very prominent out there. We've had in this country 18,000 deaths in the last year from opioid prescriptions that are written. We need to change the definition of pain. The 50% of the people where we don't know why they're hurt should not receive a narcotic. They could try these 20 methods today that Kim and I we spoke about here today to raise your dopamine level, to feel good. We all need to feel good, and food is the most common thing, but eat the right food. We discussed the right food. You can look at our internet site, and I've wrote a book, The Secret of the Non-Diet. You might like to read that. Not a diet, just eating differently. And those phytochemicals are so full of dopamine and feel-good phytochemicals that you don't need the fat, salt, and sugar to make yourself feel better, which will result eventually into obesity. In summary, I hope you enjoyed our show, and we will continue this series and speak more about holistic methods as time goes on. I think we're going to do one coming up soon on depression. Again, connecting the mind and the body and our neurotransmitters. This is not complementary medicine, Kim. This is mainstream. The chemistry is behind me. The chemistry is behind me. We're talking about mainstream neurotransmitter, hormonal neuropeptide medicine. Thank you very much for watching our show. Namaste. Thank you, Kim, for coming. And we'll do another show soon. And we'll see you next time. And I hope you practice some of the things which I brought up today, as it will lead to good health, and you can avoid a lot of medications and procedures. We love you all. Have a nice evening.